Yes, next topic is typography. Okay, so in our Illustrator design assignments, the next is typography. So actually, let us check about typography and what is typography actually. Okay, so typography is all about fonts and text. So first we'll discuss the theory part, then finally practically also we make a design. Yes, typography is the science of using letter forms for communication. Okay, we use letter forms extensively in our daily life. Okay, in various media like newspapers, signages, application forms, letters, notebooks, textbooks, currency notes, posters, tickets, SMS, email, etc. Okay, so in a regular life generally we use these fonts and text. Okay, a very large number of digital fonts are available for a graphic designer to use in design projects. Okay, a designer carefully chooses fonts after understanding the design problem. So the medium, target audience, production aspects and the context. Fonts have unique characteristics and need to be carefully chosen and used to achieve good results in communication. Okay, so without font, without typing text, you cannot express sometimes your intention, what is your the design ideas. Okay, so fonts are very important in different aspects. Suppose in newspapers we find fonts like signages, boards, hoardings, posters, pamphlets and textbooks, notebooks, even tickets and SMS, email. So we use different kind of fonts and texts. Okay, so typography is all about fonts and text. Then here there is a simple symbol here giving the expression hello. Okay, so there here without saying any without giving any picture or a symbol, simply by using this HELLO, hello text, we are expressing our idea, our intention, okay, to the public or audience. So classification in English, fonts are classified into several groups. There are three main groups. Okay, fonts are divided actually, classified into three main groups. One is serif, two is sans serif, three is script, superscript or script serif. Okay, a serif is the pointed ending of a stroke, as in IRT. Okay, this is inspired by the letters carved in stone using chisels. Thickness of the strokes also changes in these letter forms. Okay, like those drawn by flat brushes. Serif fonts are known for their readability and is widely used in text composition for books, newspapers, magazines, etc. Okay, where a large amount of text is to be composed in small font sizes. Okay, if you observe here, serifs and sans serifs, the difference between serif fonts and sans serif fonts. Serif fonts has some curvy design, top and the bottom parts. There is a curviness. Okay, so that is called serifs. So sans serif means without serifs, so without those strokes, without giving that curves. If you plan that, that can be a sans serif. Okay, serifs has tails or curves at the top and bottom areas, but in sans serifs, without serifs, we say as a sans serifs. Okay, that is the main difference. So sans means without. Okay, sans serifs means without serif. Sans serif fonts have blunt endings. Okay, so it has blunt endings to the strokes. Almost all the strokes look like equal thickness. Okay, as if drawn by a marker pen. Sans serif fonts give modern look. and is widely used in logos and symbols. Okay, packaging, signages, websites, mobile phone interfaces, gaming consoles, etc. Okay, so generally we use these sans serifs for the logo designs, for symbol making, and in packaging industry, or signages design, or websites. Okay, mobile phone interface and all. Here the best examples here we are showing serif and sans serifs. Okay, blindly we can remember this. Serif as tails and curves, sans serifs without these serifs it has blunt endings, like marker pen. If you draw one stroke, it can be straight line. Okay, so these are the sans. Next classification, next category is script. We know script means by hand you can write something, it can be a script. The script fonts recreate the visual styling of calligraphy. Okay, the letters imitate the feeling of calligraphic nibs with a slant to the right and changing thickness of strokes. These fonts give festive and personal look to the reader and are very commonly used in wedding invitations. Generally we find these script fonts for the on invitation cards, okay, or otherwise wedding invitations. Generally these are generally manually we write and design. Okay, this is called calligraphy. With the brush and nibs we write this. Okay, so by changing the thickness and width we can manage and we can create these fonts. So because of this handmade fonts, handmade writing, so these fonts generally give a festive look and decorative form it creates. So that is the reason commonly we use these script fonts in wedding invitations. For any kind of invitation designs, generally we use. So this is the example for the script fonts. This is Alpine script. Okay, the script font is generally by hand we create. So here font family, we use different font families, that is uppercase and lowercase. Okay, capital letters are called uppercase letters in typographical terminology during hand composition. Okay, so metal type of all capital letters were stored in the upper section of wooden boxes. Okay, kept in front of the person composing the text. Similarly, all small letters are called lowercase letters, which were stored in the lower part of the composing box. So finally, what we are understanding, font family has uppercase and lowercase. We know very well about this. Uppercase are called the capital letters and lowercase are small letters. So these are the fonts: uppercase and lowercase, uppercase, lowercase, uppercase, lowercase. Okay, so these are. Next, ascender. Ascender is the portion of the alphabet, okay, that ascends or exceeds above the x height of an alphabet, as in B, D, T, L. Okay, so these are the ascender lining. It exceeds x height. X height is the actual height of the font. Above the x height, it exceeds. If it exceeds above the x heights, it is called ascender. So for the ascenders, alphabets, if you say is a B, D, T, L, so look like the lengthy text. Okay, so that is a more than x height. And the descender is that portion of an alphabet that goes below or extended down forms for the x height of an alphabet, as in G, J, P and Q. So exact opposite of the ascender. from the below the X height, the fonts are forming. Okay, so like J, P, Q and G says a descender is that portion of an alphabet that goes below or extend down from with the X height of alphabet, as in G, J, Q and P. Yes, here if you find this the anatomy of the typography. Actually for the human anatomy, the same way for the typography also it has anatomy. That is called what? Type size. From top to bottom, here to here, it is type size, and the X height is actual height of the text. So this is X height. Okay, so above the X height is called ascender, and below the X height is called descender. Okay, so X height, ascender and descender. Okay, counter is between gaps between text. Generally we say it is a negative spacing. In anatomy classes already we learned the negative spacing. The same way in typography, between text gaps we say as a counterness. So in anatomy of typography, so different parts of there. So there is type size and X height, and above the X height is ascender, and below the X height is descender. Okay, between the text gap is called counter. Okay, so that is total anatomy of the typography. Okay, the same thing here again we are repeating. Height of the lowercase X height is called X height. This varies considerably in typefaces. X height contributes to the readability. Okay, the counter space, the empty space or negative space inside a letter form is called counter space. This is called negative spacing also. Shape of the counter varies according to the designer who creates the font. So counter space also helps in identifying different fonts. These shapes can be creatively used in creating logos. Okay, generally we use these fonts for the logo purpose. For creating logos we use these fonts. Next here we have font size. Generally we know very well about the font size. The minimum 4 to 72 size is a maximum size. For any softwares like Photoshop and Adobe Illustrator we use maximum 72 points. More than that, if you want, you can manually type 100 point or otherwise 150. Up to 1200 points can available. So more than that, even if you try to type that, it cannot take. Okay, so maximum 12 point and minimum 4 point. Less than 4 point, the readability is very low. So that is the reason you must have to keep the size at least 4 point. That is mandatory. Okay, the size of fonts are generally specified in font size. In typography, the smallest unit of measure is a point. Specified at shortcut PT, that is point. At the time of letterpress, space for printing were specified in picas. Okay, so the picas and EMs, which were subdivided into points. Generally, these picas and EMs and these pixels, these are the European standard sizes. Okay, so 1 inch is 72 points. 1 point is 0.353 mm. 1 pica is 12 points. Okay, 1 inch is actually 6 picas. Generally, the maximum size, the 72 points means what? That is 1 inch font. 72 points means 1 inch font. Again, 1 inch is equal to 6 picas. Okay, 1 pica is equal to 12 points again. So these are the divisions for understanding purpose we are learning. Yes, see the difference between the least 4 point to the maximum 72 point. Okay, so depends on our design requirement and usage, we choose between this, between 4 to 72 points. Okay, these are the available default available font sizes. Right, next, leading. So what is leading in typography? Actually, leading is the space between lines of text. So sometimes what we type many lines. Okay, so between lines the text is called leading. So kerning is the process of adjusting the spacing between characters in a proportional font, usually to achieve a visual pleasing result. That is called kerning. So in typography, letter spacing also referred as a tracking by typographers. Tracking is the process of loosening or tightening a block of text. Okay. So for understanding purpose, here I am showing the design, okay, picture about kerning, spacing, and tracking and leading. Okay. So this is kerning, and this is spacing. Okay. Between words, the gap called is spacing. Okay, so leading is between lines. How much gap you are maintaining between the two lines, or between each line, what gap you are maintaining, that is called leading. Okay, the spacing between words, okay, the kerning is between each text. So this is the typographic terminology you must have to understand as a designer. Next, font weight. So what is font weight? So the amount of boldness in a stroke is called weight. Okay, so many fonts are available in different weights, like thin or light, regular, bold, or extra bold, or extra black. In category of fonts, when you click on that particular font, the beside column, the weight column is there. So there different thin and light fonts are available. So there regular or bold, extra bold. Okay, so you can choose which one you want. By changing the weight of the font, one can emphasize or express the meaning of the word. So you are choosing the thick font means what? You are emphasizing that particular idea or concept. Emphasizing means what? You are again you are telling on the particular word. Okay, so when you choose this, you are emphasizing that meaning. Okay, so here the thickness of the same font, here the image is showing. Next, here text formatting. Once a suitable font has been selected, it has to be a typeset. Okay, arranged or formatted in a desirable manner, so that it looks comfortable to read. The various things contribute to make a document easily readable. Okay, so text alignment. Text can be composed in different alignments. Usually text is aligned in one of the following ways: one left aligned and justified, center aligned, right aligned, or left and right alignments. Okay, so these are the actual the default text alignments. Okay, we can choose which one is you want as per your design idea. Okay, so these are the alignments. Picture is showing this is left alignment, this is right alignment, and this is centralized, center composition, and this is justified. Okay, and here if you find this below this, there is a bubble and river. So what is the bubble and river? Okay, there is a paragraph. In paragraph, from one line to another line, and suppose continuously, if the gaps you are maintaining from one line to second, third, fourth, or so on other lines, the gaps continuously you are leaving, you are arranging your text look like the river. Okay, the space you are maintaining, it is called a river from the passage or paragraph. Bubbles means what? Unnecessary, unwanted areas you are leaving gaps. Okay, from the passage, from the text, that is called bubbles. So look like bubbles, the gaps you maintained. Okay, otherwise unnecessary gaps you are leaving in particular text. So it is called what? Bubbles. The same bubbles continuously from one line to it goes for with other lines also. It look like river, so that is the reason it is called river and bubbles. So this is very important. And this So widow and orphan. A small word or the last syllable of the hyphenated word at the end of the paragraph is called widow. This is considered to be typographically distracting to the reader. Okay. The orphan, a short isolated line at the top of a column or page is called orphan. It is usually the last line of the paragraph from the preceding column. Orphan confuses the reader because they are separated from the main paragraph due to the position, and orphan often causes typographical distraction. So text composition which leaves the first line of a paragraph at the bottom of a column also causes distraction to the reader. Okay, so that is important. So if you take these examples here, so there is a paragraph here. Okay, so under this paragraph there is a last word. Okay, this is called orphan. Okay, because it is under this there is no more text. Okay, this is only the last word of the paragraph. Okay, this is called orphan, and the widow is suppose end of the paragraph. The end of the paragraph is separated from the paragraph actually, so that is the reason it is separated, is widow. Okay, so that is the reason we are giving that widow and orphan. Okay, next expressive typography. So expressive typography, by this name very easily for understanding, a designer can use fonts creatively for expressing various emotions. One can select a font which can convey an emotion, or you can play around with an way you use letters. So expressive typography, this is called. Okay, this picture is showing what? FLUSH, flush. So the flush text is arranged or designed look like flesh. There is a curviness. The text is distorted here. The flesh like look like flesh. So it is called what? Expressive typography. And here SHO artist, short. So instead of H line, the short. Okay, the short dress symbol is placed instead of the X letter. So it is expressive font, expressive typography. The same way here infinity. So INFINITEEEE up to the small letter maintained. Infinity means limitless. Okay, so infinity. So these are all expressive typography. So sometimes we use this in our actual designs. Next is a drop cap. A drop cap, an oversized capital letter often used at the start of a paragraph that drops into 2 or more lines of text, but can also climb upwards also. For better understanding purpose, suppose drop cap means in any novel or any magazine first paragraph we find one big character, big text. Okay, and after that the remaining text generally it has the same font size, but the first text it can be a bigger size and separate color also. That is called drop cap. Okay. Next, glip. The glip is any singular mark that makes part of a font. Okay. So whether a letter, a number, punctuation mark, or even a dingbat. So glyphs are the building blocks of typography. So glyphs generally we use the punctuation marks. Yeah, this is the drop cap. The first letter, the first text K, here it is a drop cap. The remaining text are size wise very normal. Okay, this is a drop cap. And these are the glyphs, GLYPHS. Glyphs are look like symbols. Glyphs are nothing but symbols. Next to gutters. In typography, gutters are the white spaces between columns in a newspaper article. Yes, generally in any newspaper it has 8 columns. 8 columns means 8 rows. Like Hindu and other English newspapers, they maintained 6 columns also, but the Telugu newspapers like Eenadu and other newspapers, they maintained 8 columns. So columns means rows. Okay, the each column is 4.5 centimeter size widthwise. Okay, between each column the gap they maintained 0.5 gap, and column size is 4.5. Okay, so between column size you are leaving this some gap. It is called gutter. So gutter means maintaining gap between columns, that is. Okay, and again here the picas are they repeated the same lines again. 1/6 of an inch in length, the picas is associated with line length and column width. Okay, there are 12 points or 16 pixels in one pica. Already we discussed about this picas. And this is point again. Okay, standard typographical measurement equal to 1/12 of a pica, or 1/72 of an inch. Here it is, they are repeating again. Next year, true type fonts. True type font technology originally developed by Apple in the late 1980s, but was later adapted by Microsoft and has since become the standard for Windows platforms. The key difference is that with the true fonts, a single font of file contains both the screen and print outline information. This means that whilst they are easily portable, they can cause problems when it comes to print. In fact, the font on the page may come out entirely different to the font in your design. Okay, actually this first true type fonts were developed by this Apple in late 1980s. Okay, then the same fonts, true type fonts, are adapted by Microsoft. Okay, so it contains both the screen and print outline information. Okay, so they can cause problems when it comes to print. Okay, in fact, the font on the page may come out entirely different to the font in your design. So that is. Next category is open type. After true type, here we have open type. Open type is a cross-platform font file format developed jointly by Adobe and Microsoft. Okay, Adobe has converted the entire Adobe type library into this format and now offers thousands of open type fonts. The two main benefits of the open type format are it is cross-platform compatibility. The same font file works on Macintosh and Windows computers. That is the main advantage of this open type. Open type fonts you can use in both Microsoft and Apple computers. That is the main advantage, and it is ability to support widely expanded character sets and layout features, which provide richer linguistic support and advanced typographic control. Okay, so this is about open type. And next are PostScript fonts. These are very important actually. These PostScript fonts were developed in 1984 based on the Adobe PostScript language. Okay, so PostScript is high quality digital format. As such, these fonts are widely used in professional typesetting, so graphic design and desktop publishing. They give you consistent control over text and layouts. Okay, what you see on your screen will be the same no matter the output device. So these are very important generally for all the commercial printing and for your professional printing purpose usage. We use PostScript fonts. Okay, this is developed by Adobe in 1984. Okay, so these fonts are widely available, okay, for the professional typesetting. So most of the graphic designers and the desktop publishing, we use these fonts. The benefit of this PostScript fonts are the clarity. Okay, the crispy clarity is available on the screen. Suppose on the screen and output will be the same. Okay, no matter the output on both any device. That is because PostScript fonts are made up of two files: a digital file containing bitmap information for display on screens and monitors, and a file containing outline information for printing the font. When it comes to commercial printing, both font files will be included with the application file, okay, meaning PostScript produces more reliable results. The font on the page will perfectly match the font on your screen. So it has a bitmap information also. A digital file contains bitmap information for display on screens and monitors, and the file containing outline information for printing the font. Okay, so it has the both for monitors and screens and for printing also. Okay, so that is the reason for commercial printing widely we are using these PostScript fonts. So next, which font type is better when it comes to printer? The true type can lead to issues during printing. Okay, for professional printing purposes, PostScript fonts are state of the art and always recommended if you want the highest quality. Okay, so you are expecting the highest quality in printing, must have to use these PostScript fonts. So it maintains both the screen resolution and for printing also the same quality of the sharpness it has available. Okay, if you want the highest quality when it comes to print, use PostScript. True type fonts can often be found free of charge on the internet. Okay, as a result they are often poor quality, intent for screen viewing only. So for sometimes for different uses we try to download free fonts from internet. So those are true type fonts. Because they are available freely, it has poor quality because it maintains only screen viewing purpose only. You cannot print. If you try to print those, maybe the sharpness, we lost the sharpness of the font. So that is the reason always try to use PostScript fonts only. Because of this, it is essential to comply with one golden rule: always convert true fonts into paths. This is the super important but also super easy. Whilst it is essential to convert true type fonts before printing, it is also highly recommended to do the same with PostScript. Although PostScript is more reliable on account of its double file format, you can never be too safe. For example, one of the files might be missing. Okay, so practically we design typography concept. By using the typography concept we use practical designs, then only we'll understand properly. Okay, you can follow this continuously, then you'll understand this. Okay, so this is about all about typography. You can follow this, and if you have any doubt you can ask. Okay, thank you.